Okay, guys, good morning. So here I am again, and we're back at this mode of doing the class, right, with the videos. So I guess this is the right way to do the class. At least these kind of classes, because you need to be able to do things at your own speed, and that's why we're back on this. So remember, at any time during this video tutorial, I am here and you can ask me anything you need. I won't be leaving the session. I am live asking your questions. But if you don't have any questions, excellent. And if you have any questions that I'm about things that I'm not explaining in this video tutorial, just activate your microphone and ask me. I will be eager and excited to answer any question you have about this. So here we are. Remember last class, in the last session, you were doing a little house. So I have a little house here prepared for you. Maybe your house is bigger, maybe your house is taller or wider or more detailed with more elements. That doesn't really matter because what I'm going to do here with this model, with this particular house, it's exactly the same you're going to do with your house, with your little house. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add textures to the house. And for this I have two textures ready and I'm sharing these textures with you. So one, it's a texture for the roof of my house and your house too. Okay, this is a roof. So we're going to apply a texture to this roof. Also, we're going to apply a texture to the walls. The walls are going to be brick walls. So two textures ready, a roof texture and a brick texture. So I'm going to show you how to apply these textures. By now you know how to apply color to a face. You did that you did that on the Minecraft tutorial. Remember the tutorial where you did something like this? Just let me refresh a little bit your memory. The one where you were doing this and this, and then I ask you to select some faces, right? Go to the material tab, which I have selected right now. You created a new material, yes, and then you changed the color of that material. When you change the color, you click on the button Assign. And in order to see the result, you need to change your view to the material view or the render view. Okay, now we're having a little issue here. The issue is that we didn't have a general color, so I'm changing back again. That's it. So you select the face, you select the color, and then you click Assign. If you want a different color, you click the plus button, the new button, and then you select another color, and then you click Assign. And each face you select and click Assign, it's going to change to that selected color. Okay, so you did a lot of this in the Minecraft tutorial. All right, but these are just solid colors. What you're going to do now, it's not just apply colors, you're going to apply textures to the sides or to the faces of your model. So in order to do that, you're going to do something, you're going to do a process very similar to the coloring process, to a process to add color to a face. The only difference is that instead of selecting a color, you're going to select a face. Sorry, you're going to select a texture. And something else you need to understand, or something else I'm going to introduce, a new concept, is the concept of UV maps. Let me write down for you here because I want you to understand. And you need to see what that is, how to write it, because sometimes I'm telling things and you don't even know what I'm saying. So what I'm talking about here is about UV maps. I'm talking about UV maps. This is the word I'm saying. So what is a UV map? I'm going to give you a little introduction about UV maps. So, but just so you understand, UV maps and textures go together every time. You cannot have textures without UV maps. So UV maps and textures always go together. So let's see what's going to happen. What are we going to do? Okay. So step number one, starting now. Select your object, the object of your house. If you have multiple objects in your house, you're going to have to do this every time with every object. So let's change to the solid view. You're not going to see any change in the solid view. And remember to view the changes, you need to be in the material preview or the final render preview. But right now, I'm going to stay on the solid because I want to make a selection, and selections are better are better to do selections on the solid view. So I'm going to select everything here in my house. How can you select everything? Good question. So in order to select all the faces, remember, select the object, change into edit mode, and then when you are in edit mode, just click the letter A. Look at this letter, the letter A. When you press letter A, you select all. You select all the faces, all the edges, and all the vertices in that particular object. Okay, so now that everything is selected, I'm going to change my view to the material preview, which is this one. Remember to there is a shortcut to change views. You can press the letter Z, and then this little flying menu appears. And from here you can change. Look at this. The blue one is the one that I have selected. Is the material preview. Is the same one that is selected here. You can change to wireframe. You can change to solid. You can change to render, or you can change to material preview. So I'm going to stay in the material preview for this one. Okay. What else am I going to do? Right now, I have a material selected in my house because by default, the cube, the original cube, your original cube, should have a material. It always has a material. So I'm going to rename this instead of material. It's going to be called brick walls. Brick walls, because these are going to be my brick walls. Next step, I have to select my textures. Now go to the links on the description of this video and download both the brick and the roof textures. When you download those, come back and continue with the steps. Okay, so right now you must have your texture brick and your texture roof. Position yourself in the color right here where it says color gamma. In this, where you can see the list of options in this material, make sure you have selected the brick walls. Okay, so select the gamma option and click on it. What you're going to see is a lot of options. Well, the important option here is the one that says image texture. You're going to change your color. It's not going to be a color anymore. You're going to change your color from gamma, which is right here in the column of color. You're going to change it for texture. So you have many textures here. You have automatic generated brick texture, checker texture, environment texture, grading texture, but you want an image texture because you want your texture to come from an image that you already have in your computer. So select image texture, and well, nothing happens, not yet, because you have to select the texture you want. So right now, it changed some things. You don't have a color selector now. What you have is two buttons, one that says new for to create a new image, a new texture, or open to select a texture image from your computer. Click on the button open and then navigate through your folders and find the texture that you just downloaded from the description below. And my textures are on my desktop. That's where I downloaded my textures. And one of them is called Roof Gris. I forgot to change the color name to English, so it should be there. Roof Gris. And then I have my other one that is called Brick. I also have other files, but the important ones are this. So I'm going to select my brick texture. That's the important one for this part. So select the brick and then click on Open Image. And there you go. Now you have a texture. Now there is an extra step because maybe your texture is not looking like this. Okay, you probably have you probably have deformed bricks, or maybe your bricks look way too big, and that's normal because now you have to adjust your UV map. Let me tell you about UV maps. Just a brief introduction, because later we're going to have another class specific for UV maps. But right now, just follow my steps. Okay, you have to change your tab. Right now, you are in the Layout tab in the top part of Blender. And there you have different options: Layout, Modeling, Sculpting, UV Editing, Texture Painting, Shading, Animation. Okay, so you can click on Shading, right? Or you can click in UV Editing. And for this part, I think it's better if you click on UV editing. So what you're going to see in UV editing, it's this. It's a bunch of lines and rectangles and your texture, which is right there. Okay, that's what you see. That's what you're supposed to see. So maybe your texture is like this. It's very small and the image is way too big. And then your bricks look too big for what it is supposed to be. Or maybe your bricks look deformed like this, which is not good at all. It's not good, not at all. Okay, or maybe your bricks look. Oh, sorry. Maybe your bricks are looking something like this, still deformed. So what you're going to do is step number one for the UV mapping. It's make sure again, make sure you have, well, if you noticed when you clicked on UV editing, your screen divided in two parts. On your right, you have your model. On your left, you have the brick texture that you imported to your Blender file. That's important to know. This is the brick texture that you downloaded from the video. Okay, so again, to modify or adjust the size of the texture on your model, it's important to select the model and make sure you are in edit mode. Okay, I'm in edit mode, but right now I have nothing selected. I don't have any faces selected. I want you to take a look at this. Look at how when I select a face, an area here, it's highlighted. For example, right now I have this face selected, this area is highlighted. If I select the next face is highlighted, and so on. So every face I select has a space assigned or an area assigned of the image. Basically, what you're saying to the program is hey, look at this area right here, this face. Show me this part of the texture on this face. So if I select this part, if I select this face and I move this area right here, look at what is going on. I am adjusting, I am moving the texture that is going to be shown right here. Okay, but luckily you don't have to do it one by one, because if you select all of them just like this, remember how to select all of the faces. You have to press the letter A. And right now I'm not screencasting. Oh yeah, I am. So you have to select the letter A, or press the letter A to select all of the faces. Okay, with all the faces selected, right click to see this context menu and find the option that says UV unwrap faces. Just don't worry about what that means, just follow my steps with when we see more detail about this, you'll understand. So UV on wrap faces, and then you have an sub menu. Okay. Right now, click on the option that says Cube Projection. Cube Projection because your house, it's more similar to a cube than anything else. So click on the Cube Projection and you're going to see how everything here is adjusted to the size of your house. Now you have a better texture, but you can adjust it a little bit more. Maybe you want your bricks to be smaller. If you want your bricks to be smaller, well, make sure you take this side, select the scale tool, and make it bigger. It doesn't matter that your image is inside the rest of your faces. I mean, it doesn't matter that your faces are way bigger than your image. That is going to make your bricks look smaller because they repeat, they tile. So you can make it very small like this, but at some point it doesn't look good because you start to see where the image is repeating itself. So try to make it look a little bit realistic. So I'm going to take here and I'm going to adjust it to this size. I'm sorry. So I'm going to leave it like this. See, now I can unselect everything, pressing the letter A twice, 2 times, and then I'm going to change to object mode. All right, now I have a brick house, but there's something that is not completely right. Houses don't have brick roof. Brick ceilings or brick roof are not a thing. So we have to change that. We have to adjust the roof. Okay, so now it's time to do that. So we're going to stay in the UV editing tab, not changing to layout, not yet. So I'm going to select the house again, and I'm going to change the view mode into solid. So I don't want to see the textures, not now, because I'm going to make a selection. So I change into solid, I go into edit mode, and what I want to do now is I want to select all the faces that have to do with my roof. And I mean all the faces, all of them, and only the faces that are related to the roof. Be careful not to select by accident any other face. So right now I'm selecting one by one. Also the ones on the side, you see the thickness of the roof is also important to select, just like this, and then like this. Yes, because all of this is going to be visible and we don't want to make any mistakes. So right now I selected everything in the roof. Yes, very good. Position yourself on the material panel, which is this one, the little red globe on the right. And right now you have one material, that is the brick wall. Let's create a new material. That is going to be new material, click plus, click new, and change the name to roof. Okay, that's it. Now we have a new material. We can assign that new material to the faces that I have selected. So in order to see the result, just click here. My image on the left disappeared because now I don't have an image texture, not anymore. So don't worry about that, not now. What you're going to do next is you're going to change again the base color. It's going to change. You're going to click here, and instead of base color, you're going to select again image texture. Just click on image texture, and again click on open, and now this time find your roof texture. For me, it's this one that is called the roof grease. So I'm going to click on open image. And right now, my roof is selected and it's there. Now it looks a little big. I don't want this roof to be as big as it looks here. Now I'm going to do the same process. I'm going to click right click, find the UV on wrap faces and click on the cube projection. Okay, now it looks bigger, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. The tiles or the the direction of the texture is the correct one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this and I'm going to make it bigger so the image gets smaller and smaller like that. Okay, so now I have a better texture. So there are some mistakes that eventually I'm going to tell you how to fix. Now, for example, what mistakes are there? This texture on this side. This is not correct. This is not the way the texture should look. And there's a way to fix it, but it's not for this class. Okay, right now all I want you to do is select the texture for your bricks, select the texture for your roofs, and finish your project by adding uh, something in the ground and trying to make this look as good as you can. So the tutorial is going to end here. So now you know how to apply textures. If your project needs more textures, I don't know, maybe you need wood texture, okay? Well, you should go over to your browser, your favorite browser, and find in Google a wood texture that you can use in your project. Import that texture and make a new material and add the texture to any phases that you need to add the texture to. Or maybe you want to add a concrete texture for your floor, for your ground. Okay, let's go and do that. Maybe you don't like the bricks that I selected for you. Okay, go on and find a different texture for the bricks, select it, import it to Blender, make the material, and change those bricks. So I just told you how to apply textures. That was the main objective of this class. So if you have any questions, please just ask me. If you couldn't do something specific with the instructions that I just gave you, well, again, just ask me. I am here and I am waiting for your questions. Okay, so from this point, I just have something else I want to teach you, and it's going to be a little bit extra, but I want you to do it. So we're going to change back to layout, so I can see only one face, only one window. I'm going to erase this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a plane. Maybe you already have a plane in your project. I'm not sure about it. And I'm going to adjust my house so it's sitting exactly where it's supposed to sit. Now, look at this. I have another problem here. I have a brick floor. So I'm not really happy about this brick floor. So maybe I change it for a wood floor, but not in this tutorial. So what I want to do now is I want to make this ground, this white ground, this white floor, and I want to show you the render view. Okay, so remember you have solid where there is no texture at all, only solids, only gray faces, and then you have the wireframe, which is just the lines or the faces or the vertices or the edges. It depends on what you select on your selection element. And also then you have the material preview, which is the one we were working on. But the material preview doesn't have a good lighting. The good lighting is on the render view. Okay, now you have something that looks a little bit nicer. This is almost like a final project. Look at this. This looks almost good, almost realistic. So what I want you to do is I want you to get into render mode, activate your floor, and then I'm going to show you some options that are going to help your renders look better or your projects look better. If you're having problems and your computer doesn't allow or doesn't support the render view because it gets too slow, well, then you can skip this part. and maybe do it in another time. But if you have no problem with your computer, go on. So first of all, change to render view. Change your view to render. Remember you have wireframe, solid, texture, and render. Look at the shadows. Look at the lighting. It's looking a lot better when you click on the render view. But you can make it look even better if you position yourself in the scene, the render properties panel, which is this one. Okay, it's the one that looks like a reflex camera, like a Canon or a Nikon. So it's this one. So click on this button on this camera. This is the render properties panel. In this panel, you can change any property about rendering your file. So right now you have selected the Eevee render engine. That is important to note. Here on Blender, we have three options for rendering. We have Eevee, which is the default. We have Workbench, which is not really good. And actually, it's not good at all. We're never going to use Workbench. And we have Cycles, which is the old rendering engine. But by old, I don't mean bad. Actually, um, Cycles is really good, but you need a really good computer to use Cycles because it's slower. And Eevee, it has its problems. I don't know if you can see these shaky shadows, the shakiness here. That is an artifact of Eevee. That is something that happens on Eevee when you're watching live. But when you hit on render like this, well, that shakiness stops. So I just rendered my file. This is an image I just created. I create renders by pressing the F12 key. You have the F's on the top of your keyboard. So F12, if you hit that key, if you press that key, it's going to open your rendering window. But okay, but how can you make it look even better? You can activate these options. You have different options. For example, I'm going to activate ambient occlusion. I'm going to activate bloom, and I'm going to activate screen space reflections. And you see now things are changing. I'm going to select my light as well, which is this one, and I'm going to move it around a little bit. You see, if you move your light around, you start creating different effects, or well, different lighting settings. So I want to move my light behind. I don't really like that. Maybe on top. Yeah, that's not really good either. What I'm trying to do here is just create something that looks, yeah, I want that shadow. That's the shadow I want. So you are free to move and select any kind of lighting you want, or move your lighting however you want. But yeah, I think that's okay. So that's Eevee and that's Cycles. Yeah, I'm staying with Eevee. Okay. So there you go. That's it. That's what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you how to create, or how to start creating the conditions to make a better render. So right now, if I deactivate all of this, you're going to see how this is a little, everything is way flatter. But if I start activating this, everything looks now a little bit better. And with textures, everything looks way better. Okay. Yeah, I don't like this angle. I like this one better. Okay, guys. So that's the tutorial for today. I repeat, if you have any other question, just ask me. I'm right here. Remember this file, you have to save it and upload it to the platform. Okay, that's going to be the work. It's going to be today's work. Thank you very much and see you later.